Welcome to the third edition of the Democracy Herald. I'm Demos Kratos. Today I want to talk about why democracy is important. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're either interested in political theory in general or you're being forced to watch this by some nefarious force. Either way, my apologies. But you probably are also wondering, why is this guy so obsessed with democracy? And the answer is because it's great. Not only does democracy give everyone an equal footing to express and argue for their views, it's also really good for economies. If you look here at this graph, democracy does, in fact, cause growth. This makes some sense because if everyone is able to pursue their own interests, then ideally we have many more good ideas able to float around for people to hear and buy into. Now, there's also a lot of bad ideas. But if you have an educated populace over long periods of time, good ideas that solve problems will succeed, even if it's messy as we get there. Now, you may be saying that GDP isn't everything, as this graph is specifically showing GDP growth. And you're right, GDP is not everything. It covers up many problems in many different countries. But democracy is also really good for happiness. There are some not so democratic countries that are happy, but there's a very clear floor for happiness among full democracies, meaning, at the very least, people are moderately happy when they have rights and freedoms and get to choose their own leaders. On the other hand, if you don't get to choose your own leader, if you don't get to pursue your own path, if you don't get to say or worship or meet up as you choose, while you might be happy for a little bit, eventually happiness will wane. In a democracy, people can still be depressed. But in the aggregate, democracies are happier, and more importantly, as you have more equitable democracy, happiness increases. As I've said before, democracy doesn't always come up with the best solution. There are lots of problems to be solved, but if we solve them slowly and deliberately, much like a tortoise, as you see it in my masthead, then we can have a higher GDP and more happiness in the long run. This means that the means of getting to the end are just as important as the end in itself, if we're thinking in the long term. So continuing to practice democracy, as I talked about in a previous video, which you can click on here, even if we really want to crush our opposition and get our policy priorities in place, if we choose to practice democracy instead of doing that, instead of crushing people, it's really important, and it will be better for our country, ourselves, and for the future and our descendants. So, as always, if you like this or you want to hear more, please like and subscribe. And as always, if I'm wrong about something or wrong about everything, please comment below.